spiritual master are the only way that we can attain pure devotional service. I bow down to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates. By him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor and the Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us and give us the shade of your lotus feet. May your fame be spread all over the three worlds, and we take shelter of your lotus feet. Divine grace is the Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Jai. Gesundheit.
Today's Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Jetzt ist dagegen, ja, das kann man nicht mehr wegmachen. Das hätte man eigentlich in der Jugend, in der anfänglichen Jugend machen da, wenn die Wirbelsäule noch so gerade war. Jetzt ist es so. Jetzt kann ich Sport machen, dann wird es nicht so schmerzhaft wieder.
I won't read anything.
Ja.
Okay.
Zum Beispiel.
Jai Shri Shri Gaunitai, Jai Jagannath Baladev, Jai Subhadra Maharani ki Jai. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantaraj Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda. This one is.
She wrote 20. Should be 22.
She asked me. I told her 23, 22. So what will she do?
No.
Soll ich neu schreiben?
Vielleicht. Oder hat jeder. Everyone has phone or book.
Yeah, the young lady.
Actually, it's a very short one. Krishna Sambandha,
Krishna Sambandha,
Vinakala Vyarta Nahi Yaya Krishna Sambandha Vinakala Vyarta Nahi Yaya
Krishna Sambandha Vinakala Vyarta Nahi Yaya.
Okay.
Almost done.
Krishna Sambandha Vinakala Vyarta Nahi Yaya
Krishna Sambandha Vinakala Vyarta Nahi Yaya
Krishna Sambandha Vinakala Vyarta Nahi Yaya
Krishna Sambandha Vinakala Vyarta Nahi Yaya Krishna Sambandha Vinakala Vyarta Nahi Yaya
Krishna Sambandha Vinakala Vyarta Nahi Yaya
Krishna Sambandha Vinakala Vyarta Nahi Yaya
Krishna Sambandha Vinakala Vyarta Nahi Yaya
Krishna Sambandha Vinakala Vyarta Nahi Yaya
Krishna Sambandha Vinakala Vyarta Nahi Yaya
Krishna Sambandha Vinakala Vyarta Nahi Yaya
Krishna Sambandha Vinakala Vyarta Nahi Yaya Mataji.
Krishna Sambandha Vinakala Vyarta Nahi Yaya.
Krishna Sambandha Vinakala Vyarta Nahi Yaya
Krishna Sambandha Vinakala Vyarta Nahi Jaya.
Krishna Sambandha Vinakala Vyarta Nahi Yaya Krishna Sambandha Vina.
Krishna Sambandha Vina
Without a connection with Krishna,
Without connection with Krishna
Kala, time, Vyarta,
Vyarta
useless,
useless
Nahi Yaya,
Nahi Yaya
does not become.
does not become.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Not a moment should be lost. Every moment should be utilized for Krishna or connected with Him. Please repeat after me. Not for a moment,
Not for a moment,
excuse me, not a moment
not a moment
should be lost.
should be lost.
Every moment
Every moment
should be utilized
should be utilized
for Krishna
for Krishna
or connected with Him.
or connected with Him.
Purport. Maharaj Parikshit's expression of anxiety is explained in this verse. He says, "Let whatever is destined to happen take place. It doesn't matter, just let me see that not a moment of my time is wasted without a relationship with Krishna." One has to tolerate all obstacles on the path of Krishna consciousness, and one has to see that not a moment of his life is wasted outside of Krishna's service. Krishna Sambandha Vina Kala Vyarta Nahi Yaya. Not a moment should be lost. Every moment should be utilized for Krishna or connected with Him. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapatantikam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, we're reading from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 23, Life's Ultimate Goal. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is instructing Sanatana Goswami about the life's ultimate goal. And here is a quote from Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj is the son of Abhimanyu and Uttara. He was a pure devotee of the Lord, like at the battle of Kurukshetra, when the Kauravas were about to lose. Ashwatthama wanted to kill Parikshit Maharaj while still being in the womb of Uttara through the weapons of Brahmastra. But Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, protected him. Bhagavan Sattadam Pati. The Lord is the protector of his devotees. Then Parikshit Maharaj, after leaving of the Pandavas, after the Pandavas left this planet, he actually became the king of the whole planet, the king of the world. And that is his statement. Earlier on in this chapter, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained the different symptoms which occur when ecstatic love of Godhead manifests in the heart. And one of them is that the devotee doesn't want to waste a single moment in his life. Prabhupada also many times made that point, that a devotee should be engaged in the service of the Lord 24 hours a day. Is also said in the scriptures, I think Janaka Pandit also says that no moment in life can be brought back. No amount of money, no endeavor can ever bring back a single moment of life. When the time has passed, the time is gone. So, the conditioned soul, the living entity who are in this world, they have decided themselves to come here. It has been described that Krishna and Maya are just next to each other. And as soon as the living entity turns his attention away from Krishna, meaning that he is forgetting Krishna, Maya actually captures him. And he comes under the control of the external energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, and then the living entity's consciousness, his original Krishna consciousness, is getting covered. All spirit souls, all individual souls, originally in its pure states are Krishna consciousness, meaning that we are constantly conscious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and also consciously engaged in his service. But somehow or other, we have been covered, or we have taken the decision to enjoy ourselves separate from Krishna, and that's why we have come to this material world. And coming to this material world, the living entity gets a mind, which is some kind like a subtle vehicle which carries all the different desires of the living entity, which then are responsible for the acceptance of different bodies in order to live on these desires. So in that way, the living entity gets more and more covered and degraded into different species of life. 8,400,000 different species of life the living entity is said to go through in order to come again to the human platform, where he is given the chance to become Krishna conscious again. That process also has been very nicely described by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this chapter, that first the living entity develops Shraddha, faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, faith in the scriptures. And when that faith gets stronger, he actually develops the desire to associate with like-minded people, meaning with devotees of the Lord. And through association with the devotees, the faith actually increases up to the point where he decides to take shelter at one special devotee, which is his spiritual master. And then under the guidance of that spiritual master, he starts to perform devotional service. And by performing devotional service, slowly the coverings get removed and the unwanted things are vanquished from the heart, anartanufriti, and he reaches a state of steadiness, nishtha, fixed. And at that time, he develops a natural attraction to be engaged in the Lord's service. At that time, it actually becomes an irrevocable fact. Not a moment should be lost. Parikshit Maharaj states here, that refers to the state that a devotee of the Lord is constantly engaged. And Srimad Bhagavatam also states that ahaitiki apratiha yatma suprasidati, that the living entity only becomes fully satisfied if he's engaged in devotional service unconditionally and uninterruptedly. So we can see that this is a goal which we all, as devotees, have to strive for. In the beginning, maybe there is still so many things which actually distract us from devotional service. It is said that our devotional firmness is not fixed. Sometimes we are inspired, we are engaged in devotional service, but sometimes we are also carried away by the mind and the senses. That stage actually is somewhat dangerous for the devotee, because there is always the chance to be carried away drastically, so to say. It's also been said that the process of devotional service, the biggest task is actually up to the stage when we reach a certain stability in our devotional service. Rupa Goswami has described the process into 9 different stages, starting with Shraddha, which we just before discussed, Shraddha, then Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anarti Nivritti, then Nistha, the stage where we actually are fixed. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it's also said how we can attain that stage. Nasta preshu avadreshu nittam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. It is said that by constantly being engaged in the service of the pure devotee and regularly listen to Srimad Bhagavatam, literally almost everything which is detrimental in the heart is actually removed, and irrevocable devotional service is established in the heart. So that is the state of Nistha. It also has been described that up to the state of Nistha, there is actually the pulling of the senses, which is stronger than the attraction of Krishna or the attraction to be engaged in devotional service. Whereas when the devotee reaches that stage of Nishtha, the next stage is actually Ruchi. By being engaged in devotional service on a regular basis, the taste starts to develop. Taste for the holy name, taste for Krishna Katha, taste for devotional service. Because it has become an irrevocable fact that the life's aim is actually to be engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord. Up and until that stage, we are not really convinced that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because if we would be convinced, we would be engaged with all our force in His service. So there we also can see a little how our consciousness is purified and how we are actually directed to the devotional service. Then when taste has come, the next stage is Ashakti. We develop attachment. Naturally, if we like something, we get attached to that. And after being attached, next stage is Bhava, the development of ecstasies or emotions which are on the spiritual platform. That is actually the state where that symptom, it's described as Anubhav. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu states or speaks about 9 symptoms which are developed on that stage when the living entities reaches the attachment for devotional service and develops different ecstasies. And there are 9 symptoms which occur. The first one is Kshantir, which means forgiveness. And the second one is mentioned that the devotee at that stage doesn't want to waste any moment not being engaged in the devotional service. And there are others. We can go and see them. Forgiveness, concern that time should be not wasted, detachment, absence of false prestige, hope, eagerness, and a taste for chanting the holy name of the Lord, attachment to the descriptions of the transcendental qualities of the Lord, and affection for those places where the Lord resides. So these different emotions will rise. These symptoms will be seen by these kind of devotees who have reached that standard. It also has been said that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited this perfectly, especially this quality of forgiveness is very important for a devotee. Forgiveness means that we feel for the other living entities and their conditioned state. It has been said that when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited Ramkeli, which was the location of the Nawab Hussain Shah, which was at that time the Muslim ruler of whole of Bengal. He has been described as being a very cruel personality who exercised his power in order to suppress his subjects, especially the Hindus. It has been said that he was extremely cruel and very forceful. He destroyed so many Hindu temples. He destroyed even the murtis, the deities. It has been said that he crushed them to dust. Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladev, Jai Subhadra, Jai Shri Shri Gaur Nitai, just in order to show his power. So when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Ramkeli, he actually started the Sankirtan there, and all the people started to come and follow Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It has been said that there were hundreds, thousands of people in the street chanting in ecstasy with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As well, it has been said that many people actually were there and they were just waiting to harm Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, was so merciful that he wouldn't consider that, and by being in his presence, he actually turned these people into devotees. similar example is also Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur is, as we all know, the Nam Acharya, meaning that he is that personality who has been empowered to chant the holy name of the Lord. He has that special position as being the leading personality to show the chanting, the power of the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. So he has been beating over 21 or 22 marketplaces just because he was requesting the people to chant the holy name of the Lord. And still, by being beaten over the marketplaces and being spit on and sweared at, still he would forgive the people and pray to the Lord that he shouldn't consider their acts, but should please deliver them so that they also can enjoy or partake of the spiritual bliss of being in the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead while chanting His holy name. There is even example in Christianity. Also Lord Jesus Christ exhibited these kinds of feelings. When he was crucified by the people, he actually prayed to the Lord that these people should be forgiven because they don't know what they're doing. So there we can see one extraordinary quality of a pure devotee of the Lord. He doesn't really consider how he is dealt with, how he is treated by the general people. But his only concern is to try to elevate the conditioned souls to the status of devotional service. He understands fully that this material world is temporary, and whatever happens here is just a fraction. But that real life is the life in Krishna's kingdom, in Golok Vrindavan, where every living entity is fully conscious, Krishna conscious, and is constantly engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is a quality which is very important for a devotee to actually develop, especially in the movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is a preaching movement. For a preacher, it is important, or rather to say, if a preacher develops that understanding and that empathy and compassion for the living entity, he actually will be empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to convey the message of the Absolute Truth to the conditioned souls. And it's also only if we develop that understanding and that empathy, we'll actually also will be able to reach the heart of our brothers and sisters who are embodied and conditioned. So in that way, it is very important that we always try to perfect our lives and to be constantly engaged in the service of the Lord, meaning to reach a stage where devotional service has become an irrevocable fact. Because only then we will be able to reach out to the conditioned souls and also to influence them in a proper way. As well as naturally also, we will be only able to really appreciate the devotional service to the Supreme Personality on that level. It is said that devotional service actually begins on the stage of Nishtha, because that stage is, as we heard before, when literally almost everything which is detrimental, which covers our heart, is being removed. That means only at that stage we will be able to understand our position, who we are, and what we are supposed to do. Means that we are put into knowledge. Stitam sattve prasidati. That's the stage where we are fixed in goodness. And further on, Bhagavatam describes that's the stage where our mind, evam prasanna manaso bhagavat bhakti yogadaha bhagavat tattva vijnana mukta sangha sajayate, where actually we reach a state of jolliness, evam prasanna. What does that mean? We actually reach the stage where we understand that we are not this body, but we are spirit soul. Because the spirit soul is always jolly. And at that stage, we actually realize Bhagavat Tattva Vijnana. It's a realization. It's no more a theoretical understanding, but it's become factual. Prabhupada puts a strong emphasis on that many times. He always says it's a fact. Krishna consciousness is a fact. The Supreme Personality is a fact. Because unless and until we reach that stage, it is somewhat theoretical. But at that stage, we actually realize in truth our position as being a part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that we are meant to be engaged in His devotional service. That means we reach the stage where there is no more lamentation and no more hankering, where we are not disturbed or carried away by anything what is happening to us on the material plane. And we are fixed in devotional service, and in that way deliver the message of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and are also empowered to do that. And then that stage, the knot in our heart is pierced and cut into pieces. Vidyante hridaya grantis, chidyante sarva samsaya, kshiyante chasakarmani, drishte vatmarishvare. Then the knot in our heart, which is the false ego, the misidentification with our gross body and our subtle body, is actually dissolved. And kshiyante chasa karmani, the karmic reactions are terminated. And at that stage, we see the Supreme Personality of Godhead in our heart, and the living entity will be able to communicate with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why it becomes a fact. So that's why this emphasis has been given that every moment we should try to be engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in order to reach that stage which will finally enable us to go home back to Godhead. Because Prabhupada also made a point that unless and until we reach that stage, we have to come back and take another body. So Hare Krishna, thank you very much. Any questions or any comments?
I was wondering about... I was wondering about the Sanskrit term actually Veena, because I know Veena is also like an instrument or like a class of instruments, and I don't know if this is referring to it or not, because it wasn't in Sanskrit, or if it's a...
Bengali.
Yeah, okay, this is different meaning then, right?
Seems like.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Good question. You very beautifully mentioned how devotional service should become an irrevocable fact in our lives. And then you described these different stages of Shraddha, Ruchi, Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti and Bhava. And I was thinking how, and you also mentioned how it is at the stage of Ruchi when we gather taste that we realize that devotional service is the only aim of our existence or the only aim of life. And sometimes I was thinking, neophyte devotee like me can also think that devotional service or Krishna consciousness is the only aim of my life. But then I know I'm not steady and definitely not much taste. So how should we understand that sometimes we can also strongly feel that devotional service is the aim of our life, but we may not be at a platform where we are really there.
Yeah, that's why Srila Prabhupada has very merciful given that process, that sadhana bhakti processes. Actually, in the beginning, it is rules and regulation, following sadhana. Sadhana bhakti means rules and regulation. The devotee follows the prescribed duties. And by following that, he actually gets purified. So we shouldn't bother too much about where we stand. we should try to execute the process to our best ability, the process which Srila Prabhupada has given, to our best ability, and then it's just a question of time when we will advance and finally reach that stage. On the other hand, there is no use in trying to imitate these kinds of symptoms, because they can't be imitated. If you try to do that, we just become pretender or sahajya. So that won't help. That has been time and time very emphatically conveyed by the acharyas, that don't try to imitate, become a pretender, but try to seriously follow the process, and then by following the process we will reach that stage where it actually becomes our nature, becomes natural. So, to your question, yeah, we just should try to give our best to follow the process, and in that way we'll actually reach that goal. Anything else? Any comments? Krishna Prema Rupa Prabhu.
I mean, the last couple of weeks we also spoke about this topic. It's very interesting to I think it's very helpful to understand these stages, and they give us, like, if you look at a map and sometimes you have a sign, you're here, right? So you know where you're located, and then you know where to go or where is the goal. So I think this description of the stages are very helpful. Of course, sometimes it's a bit sobering to realize that there's still some. I just wrote a little article on the topic of unsteady devotional service, because sometimes when we practice and we realize that we're not making progress, it can be a little bit, difficult. But then that's why Rupa Goswami says we need patience. If we actually just stick to the process and understand that it will bear some fruits at some point, but we have to have that faith that it actually will work. And example is given like the bamboos. They take many years actually, and then all of a sudden within a couple of weeks they come out. Or a cancer in the body can be there already, up to 80% can be developed, and only at the last stage people realize that they have cancer. So similarly, bhakti may develop, but it will take time to really manifest, so that we can get the benefit from it. So we need to have patience in the meantime. So I think that's But yeah, I think you beautifully made a point of this stage of Nishta, and how we need to be engaged in devotional service too. I found it interesting that actually devotional service only starts at Nishta, actually, like the real devotional service. That's another very sobering statement. But yeah, because when we on Nishta, then actually we can truly serve the Lord without all this. Because until Nishta we are basically very much busy with our own selves, with the whole, getting rid of being in that purification. And only when we get on a stage of Nishta, we can really focus on Krishna and do nice service. Before that, we're kind of struggling, right? So I think that's also a very good point.
Actually, and devotional service already starts with Shraddha, naturally. But actually what is meant, what Prabhupada meant is or what he also says is pure
devotional service.
Yeah, and it's true. Actually, it's also said that on the stage of Nishta, actually, one is free from the bodily concept of life. Means is a liberated soul, which is quite a high standard.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I also, from my own experience, I can say, sometimes, as Krishna Prema Rupa Prabhu said, that we feel bad or we feel reluctant, recognizing that we are not really on that platform. But then at the same time, we also should try to remind ourselves that maybe that desire to be on that platform is actually that which is standing in our way. Because what is the motivation? Our motivation to see ourselves on that platform. Mostly it's pratishta, adoration, distinction, and profit, and not really the craving for devotional service. And then finally, we should always remember that devotional service is the way and is the goal. And once again, what Krishna Prema Rupa Prabhu said, that finally it's up to Krishna. He can, in one blink of an eye, he can free ourselves. And actually that anyway should be the understanding of a devotee, that it's not our own endeavor which will make us eligible to go home back to Godhead, or which makes us eligible to perform pure devotional service. But finally it is the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So as my spiritual master Srila Bhakti Charan Maharaj used to say, we shouldn't worry too much, we should try to do our best being engaged in devotional service, and then wait. But have the confidence that yes, when the time is right, when Krishna desires, he actually will bestow that mercy upon us to be engaged in his pure devotional service. And he definitely will do that, because that's what he promised. So yes, utsaha nischayat daryat tatat karma pravartanat. We should be enthusiastic, confident, but also patient while executing devotional service, tatat karma pravartanat. And then it's just a question of time. And time is relative. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Anything else? Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantaraj Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Grace Govinda Prabhu ki jai.
Ja, ich habe mich nach dir orientiert.
Ja.
Weil da ist er noch frisch, oder?
Ja, stimmt.
Aber das ist schon stumm. Meistens ist man so 14 Stunden unterwegs.
Ich weiß nicht, wo der Kamera war, wenn wir jetzt 20 Stunden unterwegs sagen kann. Er ist erst von was anderes ab Philadelphia, glaube ich, und da umgestiegen und dann hier rüber. Das ist halt voll verrückt. Jo, das Größte, was ich machen kann. Das ist nicht schwierig. Das ist eine Stunde. Das ist meine Studie. Nein, studiert mit der Webpage. Today is the day.
Today is the day. Deepavali day is the Spine Krishna. The talk. The day is today. Exactly.
Ja.
Gerade die Leute, die es einfach besucht haben. Das ist gut gewesen.
Ich sage für das ist super gefunden. Es ist sehr inspirierend, das Beste gesagt. Ja, ich habe mich einfach gefragt, also weißt du, sie haben es ja nicht gewusst. Wir haben einfach, und das Topic war Self-Esteem-Spectrum. Ich weiß auch nicht genau, also ich habe mich dann auch gefragt,
Was hat es jetzt ausgemacht?
Genau, weißt du, sind schauen, wer er ist. Und natürlich haben wir ihn vorgestellt als Motivational Coach und Speakers. Und das ist schon etwas, das habe ich schon schnell vollziehen. Für die Studenten, also weißt du, wenn zu viel aus mir auffallen oder zu viel Backbrot ist ein Zeug für das. Aber Self-Esteem und
so praktisches Thema.
Genau, weißt du, Motivation, das ist so ein Schlagwort. Was kann ich machen, dass ich selber, weißt du? Es gibt jetzt nachher auch mehr Beweggründe, wieso das möchtest du.
Better version of yourself.
Genau. Trotzdem, weißt du, das sind viele gekommen, ich habe mich dann auch gefragt, die gehen ja mit seinen Partnern, wir haben schon 60 gehabt. Aber nachher eine Stunde vorbei, das sind mindestens etwa 40, 50 Leute.
Das heisst, das hat genau so viel.
Aber, da habe ich mich gefragt, die aufgekommen. Also, haben wir Instagram und verschiedene Wörter.
Ja, das ist oft.
Aber ich habe es genau, weißt du, dass es auch eingeschlagen hat, dass sie sich und sonst, früher ist es mehr so ausgesehen, dass sie gekommen sind, wie sie dort haben. Mal schauen, wie das kommt. Ich kann nicht löschen. Ich kann nicht.
Das ist interessant.
das Schmuckkorn, das habe ich dann schon gesagt, aber wieder International Guest Speaker. Also weißt du, das ist schon etwas, was ich will. Und wenn ich auch die Kamera oder so, das kann schon auch gut, meistens können wir es auch kombinieren mit Alias Rundmehl. Oder sind wir halt viel schade. Eigentlich würde es nur eigentlich im Semester. Sie machen bloß nichts.
Damit Anschluss.
Das hat es alles. Und das sind die Leute. Sie haben es jetzt auch gut gebaut.
Ja.
Aber das hat schon angefangen mit der Anmeldung, bevor das ist. Die Rundmehl, die haben meistens 2 Tage. Das hätte ich gesagt, neben der Rat ist schon gesagt. Wir haben es aber am Sonntag an unseren Members. Und dann hat es schon angefangen.
Discontent.
Aber schon bevor es noch
Really not. Every week have not. No,
Und wenn man?
every week you have one note.
Ah,
das war also schlechter Aha.
das ist auch
Letter publicați 2011
genau, was ist Selbstsprache, was weißt
Online.
je mehr du
Principle of chanting is to glorify the Lord and not to attract the crowd. Krishna was nice and then we were awesome, but sincere devoted to God and such a way.
Was ist eigentlich auf Close?
Crowd? Crowd is a big group of people. It's not the principle of chanting is to glorify the Lord, not to say big amount of people. Like it's not the point.
Was ist Ihr Selbstbewusstsein? Aber das geht noch drauf, auch ein bisschen powerful, oder Ihr Selbstbewusstsein, Ihr powerful. Nein, ich glaube, es so weißt, psychologische Themen gut. Er ist natürlich sehr rhetorisch gewandt, ist super. Ich kann es nachher auch sagen, sind spirituell profitiert. Weil einfach eben jetzt können in der Sprache verpacken, die sehr attraktiv war. Aber weißt du, nicht auch ein bisschen erfolgsorientiert. Die wollte ich auch. Und er hat es aber so können reintun. Weißt du, nicht irgendwie für Schlösser oder für Leute so lustig.
So die, die auch.
Genau, wenn etwas erreicht. Und das ist natürlich super, so Diskussion, weißt du, wo die Drive auch haben. Oder für die Institution etwas.
Ich bin ja beruflich klinische Coaching, das ist wenn du eine Session machen willst. Das ist das Licht, das professionell, also der Raum, kritisch kann man viel profitieren.
Nein, das merkst du so, er ist ein wunderbarer Redner. Das merkst du auch in der Erfahrung, und du hast ja gesehen, die Leute angekommen, die sind gerade so mit. Oder das ist natürlich auch seine Erfahrung, die er hat, und sein Skill, dass du sofort versuchst, das Publikum zu involvieren und dann sehr sehr nice. Super. Weißt du, aber das ist auch eine Gabe, wenn du Glück hast.
schön, ich kommentiere mit dem. Das ist jetzt das zweite Mal mit der Jute, das ist gut.
Bist du im Retreat gewesen? Du bist?
Jetzt auch nicht die Jute-Kategorie.
Sind das wirklich nur Jungen?
Es ist auch für die Jute so sehr organisiert. Das sind 50 bis 30 oder so. Ich bin schon aus die Jungen, das ist etwas.
Ja, bin ich. Ja, das ist ich habe das auch gemerkt. Du merkst es ein bisschen, weißt du, mir gehört schon zu der Generation. Also ich merke, dass wenn sie untereinander reden oder auch wie sie kommen, also ich finde es nice, weißt du, respekthaltig. Manchmal denke ich schon, ganz normal.
Ja, ich meine, du bist auch wirklich besser. Ja, also
nein, genau das ist es. Wenn sie kommen und dich anreden, eben wie ein Prof.
Natürlich, ich meine, du bist in dieser Kategorie fixiert.
Ja, vor allem zum Alter. Nein, also auf einer Seite ist es nice.
Ja, es ist
der Respekt.
Das macht sich dann auch wahrscheinlich auch offen, oder? Zum Losen und lange.
Ja, aber das andere ist natürlich, also das habe ich auch gemerkt, ist natürlich auch eine gewisse Distanz, wo dann für Gleichaltrige, oder würden sie sich wahrscheinlich schneller mitdenken.
Ja, das ist nicht mehr
und dadurch ziemlich gut.
Ja, und das ist gut, wenn es die Vielfalt versprechen. Es ist gut, wenn es die Vielfalt versprechen.
Und ich finde es auch bei uns noch gut, oder? Also wir haben ja auch ein Team, das immer dort ist. Das finde ich auch gut, weil gewisse können ja zu mir kommen.
Genau, alle die vielleicht
ja, das ist ja auch normal, oder? Ich meine, das war bei uns auch so, die Gleichaltrigen. Das ist Friendship. Nein, also, wenn du ein Thema hast, mal was Zeit ist, komm.
Dann mach ja, genau. Können wir live machen.
We came to stay, so hopefully we'll go on. Nein, es wäre nice, aber das ist schon, das merkst du auch, Studentenchef, weißt du, wenn es verschiedene Studenten Precious.
Thank you.